We have our next speaker is the lovely Deb. I'm gonna let you take it away.
Hi, good evening everyone. So my name is Debbie and I belong to a resident-led advocacy group called 42 Voices in Malvern, Scarborough. So Malvern is East Scarborough. If you don't know where that is, it's real east. As I always say, Scarborough doesn't end at McCowan. As a resident-led group, part of our platform is civic engagement, engaging with residents in the community and finding out what their thoughts and feelings are around barriers, needs. What would you like to see happen in your community? What challenges you in your community? Recently we did an outreach, and I'd like to share some of the sentiments from some of the residents in Scarborough, what they shared with me with the closing of the RT. Now, we had anticipated the closing of the RT to be in November. So as Scarborough residents, we've been exploring options and figuring out what would be viable for us, because this has such an impact on our community. We don't have subway stations where we live. We have to get to the subway station to get to the GTA, whether it's school, it's work, medical appointment, services, visiting friends or family. We need the commute to be efficient. The RT provided that to us for many, many years. It was exciting in 1985 to hear this train. What? There's a train in Scarborough? It was amazing. And it's really sad. It's sad and it's a tragedy that we've lost our rapid transit, an efficient way to decrease our traveling time. Some of the feelings that were shared with me were upset, confusion, frustration, anxiety, worried, and hopeless. I had a woman share with me that she was going to be retiring soon. She has about 4 or 5 years to go. She works downtown as a medical assistant. We know what shuttle buses are like in Scarborough in the winter time. It's the equivalent of nightmare. One of the worries of residents, what's going to happen in the winter with the shuttle buses? She said, I don't know if my mental health can take it. I don't think that I have the stability for a longer commute that is more stressful and really impacts my day, my job. And she said, I'm considering retiring early. And I thought, oh my goodness, the RT closing is having such impacts on people's lives. I spoke to a gentleman who said, you know what? My wife's a student, works part-time. I work. We have a child. This will increase my traveling time to get to work downtown. This takes away time from my family. And he said, I just don't know if I can do it. He says, I think it would be in our best interest to possibly move back with my parents, share a home with family, so that he could purchase a car, so that he could spend more time with his daughter every night. People are being impacted. We know how inflation has affected everyone. We have people, young people, we know millennials. My children work 2 jobs each as adults. They have to in order to pay their living expenses. One job is just not enough. but we need effective transit. If transit time is decreased, there are many people working multiple jobs or jobs that require them to commute from place to place and may not have a car and rely on transit to get to those different locations. So we have many, many impacts. We need designated red bus lanes. I was traveling last weekend and saw 7 shuttle buses back to back to back to back empty. This is exactly why we need designated bus lines on Kennedy and Midland. We need this form of transit to run as efficiently as possible. Let's explore more viable solutions. Can we reroute some of the buses in Scarborough where it would help carry all this traffic more efficiently to get to Kennedy or to get to the subway line? We need to work together. And thank you so much for coming to the memorial today. I'm so glad that 42 Voices Malvern was able to be a part of this. This has had a huge impact on our community. And we need City of Toronto, we need our councillors, our mayor, we need TTC to see how this is impacting us, how it's impacting our daily lives, our livelihood, our relationships with our families, and just in general, our livelihood. It's not just a small change, a small alteration to our daily commute. It's having domino effects on our lives as residents in Scarborough. Rest in peace, Scarborough RT.
Thank you so much, Debbie. Everyone give it up for Debbie from 42 Voices one more time. I also just wanted to announce that we do have some food over at our greeting table over here, our lovely volunteers. I see Croissant over there, ready to hand you all some snacks as, you know, we go through the rest of the night. Debbie made a lot of really important points about the fact that Scarborough doesn't end at Kennedy Station, right? Scarborough doesn't end at McCowan Station. There's so much more of Scarborough that goes on past Ellesmere and McCowan. There's so many bus lines even past that, and imagine having to take maybe 2, possibly even 3 buses to get to the first subway that you're close to. It's ridiculous, right? I had the privilege of living, you know, about a 10-minute bus ride away from Warden Station for the first decade of my life, and that definitely made my experience with Scarborough Transit a whole lot, not completely different, but significantly more accessible than if I were to live somewhere like in Malvern, for example. When I went to UTSC for school, if I was ever, you know, doing something downtown, or there were a few summers where I worked downtown at the Eaton Center while going to school at UTSC for in-person classes, that hour-and-a-half commute, it was so draining all the time. I felt lucky when, you know, I only had to take 1 bus from Kennedy Station to get all the way to UTSC. Even then, didn't cut my commute down less than an hour-and-a-half, right? So imagine being in Malvern all the time. Imagine relying on transit, relying on multiple buses in order to just get to the subway. And how many folks in Scarborough are transit reliant as well, right? I know during the peak of COVID lockdowns, my own mom was working in person regularly, along with lots of her coworkers, hundreds of folks working in person still during a lot of lockdown periods, because so much of the work we rely on, so much of the labor we rely on requires in-person activities. And so, you know, so many folks in Scarborough also can relate to that, right? There were so many folks, I remember, that took the 54 bus that was constantly packed, even during the peak of our quarantine period in COVID lockdowns. I know TTC Riders had another press conference around then, which is also something you folks should check out.